Okay, everyone, we are back here with you on Tip Off, and this is our segment where Larry Kelly takes the floor and runs with it on the Red Hurricane Report. Mr. Kelly, sir, if you would.
Well, since we've been gone, I think the Red Hurricane have played 2 games. They took care of Beaver Falls down at the CJ Betters tournament at the Dome. Coach Dunalack texted me after the game and said his career record at the varsity level is now 1-0. If we, as everybody probably knows by now, Coach Bellando came down with COVID and had to miss the game, but the Hurricane didn't miss a beat. You know, that's the one thing about a well-coached team. It's a culture, Ronnie, and whether Coach Bellando's there or Coach Dunalack has to take the reins, they're not going to really miss a beat. Once that culture is cemented, that's the script you follow. That's how you play. That's what you do. And I would go as far to say that maybe even I could coach the Red Hurricane at the varsity level, and we would still win some games. Now, we might not win as many as Coach Bellando and Dunalack, but the point I'm trying to make is Coach Bellando, Coach Dunalack, Coach Humphrey, and Coach Nattell when he was there at the varsity level, they've created a culture that it's almost automatic pilot now. There are certain things that are expected. 94-foot defense, motion offense, rebounding, your own end, as well as the offensive rebounding, the pressure defense that we play, and creating points off our defensive pressure has been a staple for Newcastle basketball since Coach Bellando's been there. And this year has been no exception. In fact, I think the first show we had, our pressure defense is maybe better this year than it's ever been before. And one of the reasons, I believe, is the depth that we have. You know, we go 9 deep, and, we can go to our 9th player and not miss a beat. Mm-hmm. And at the high school level, that is impressive. And as a result of that, we blew out Beaver Falls. They never knew it hit them. And, Beaver Falls is still Beaver Falls. And West Allegheny at the field house, we blew them out. And a lot of it was created by our defensive pressure. And it seems like every second quarter, I want you to go back and look, at the box scores. These games might have been close in the first quarter, but it just seems like when we start making the substitutions and we start going deep into our bench without missing a beat, that our pressure becomes even more effective. And we've blown teams out in the second quarter of just about every game we played. Against West Allegheny, we shot it well. We can shoot it better. We're still not shooting the basketball as well as we're going to shoot it before the year's out. We're starting to execute offensively a little bit better, but we're still not executing offensively as good as we will by the end of the season. Good coaches realize that it's not important to play your best basketball in December and early January. You want to be playing your best basketball in February and early March. And at Newcastle, under the direction of Coach Bellando, that's what we've done. So we're blowing teams out, and we're still not at peak performance. I still say that this team's going to be a WPIAL champ, and we have a chance to win a state championship, because as the year goes on, we will get better.
You talk about the second quarter. Is that a matter of the heck with the halftime adjustments? When I know what they are at the end of the first quarter, let's get ahead of it and not waste that 8 minutes? Or is it a matter of, those 2 minutes between the end of the first quarter and the second quarter? Is it a matter of Coach Bellando, telling the kids, you're not playing hard enough, you need to do this better, and he gets, his influence? Is it one of those two things where he's making adjustments earlier? Or
it's certainly his influence. He expects you to be pedal to the metal. But what I'm telling you is, when you go 9 deep and we've already been through 2 or 3 rotations, and you're bringing fresh players in and defending at 94 feet, Ronnie, the other team gets fatigued. And when you get fatigued physically, you start to make mental mistakes. You start to make bad passes, bad decisions. And that's what seems to be happening this year. We go 9 deep. and there would have been 2, if not 3 rotations already in the game by the end of the second quarter. And I just think that having fresh players, quality players on the floor, defending 94 feet is making a big difference. And the other teams just can't keep up.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I would have lost a fortune on the fact when you mentioned Jason Donalek is 1-0. I thought you were going to say, well, don't forget Bob Natal won 2 games at the Shenango Christmas tournament too. So, you know, he knows a little bit about coaching. I thought you were going to go there.
I'm going to tell you something. Coach Natal may have won the biggest game to have ever been played at the Nika High Fieldhouse. And that game was played in 1993 against Butler when we were undefeated. Butler had 1 loss. We ended up playing him 3 times that year because we played him at Butler, one with a tip in at the buzzer, played him at Newcastle before a packed house in maybe the most intense basketball game I've ever seen. And then we ended up playing him in the Whitfield final. But in that game, Coach Sharandria ran into a little technical foul trouble in Beaver Falls, was suspended that game. And Coach Natal had the reins. And he brought home the victory in maybe the biggest game to have ever been played at the Nika High Fieldhouse. So you can't get on my man, Coach Natal. You can't. He's undefeated too as a head coach.
Okay, very good. I'm just wanting you to give him his proper due, you know.
Listen, I got a lot of respect for Coach Natal. I know that you guys like to bust his chops, but I will not do that. I remember him as a player, and I certainly remember him as a coach then and now.
And if everybody believes that Larry Kelly does not bust his chops, I can sell you any kind of fertilizer you want, my friends.
We only do that if we like you in Newcastle. We had this discussion. We only bust your chops if we like you.
When I became an attorney, I chose to stay here because my friends and neighbors needed a lawyer they can count on. I believe that if you're hurt on the job, you shouldn't have to go it alone, especially if your employer or the insurance company tries to bully you. You can count on me to get you the workers' compensation benefits that you deserve. Even if it gets rough, I'm not going anywhere. I'll stand my ground right here where I've always been. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.